Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. What a good way to start off your Sunday evening here in Singapore. It is pre-season time as it looms upon the start of the regular season. I'm your commentator, Golden Sniper, and let's see what these drivers can do here in Singapore. Had a couple good races yesterday and on the Friday. Let's see if it can really kick off here today. What's up, dude? It is just going to be myself for today in the comm box. Unfortunately, no one else had the privilege of having me next to them. My aura is ginormous. I'm only joking. As we see, only one driver currently out on track. The Sauber of Ashton, the man hosting this lobby, and absolutely, some would say, a handsome man. As you can see him coming around, lovely Singapore. You get a nice view of the track around here. There's a big, massive tower. Some would say it is as big as my nose, but that is something we gloss over. You can see more drivers coming out on their outlaps. There's just floods of cars, absolutely everywhere. Lovely show of the rainbow, and as we do. It is Pride Month in June, also Men's Mental Health Month. Please, if you know someone who is going through something, no matter, regardless of the gender, please tell them to speak out to someone. It is better, as a young man in the USA would say, it is better to let your mate cry on your shoulder than to be at the funeral next week. So please do talk to someone. As we watch Ashton starting his flying like he's said. The benchmark today as he comes across the first DRS zone that is not the back straight into Sector 1. He's going to come burn a little bit of his ERS into around 300 kilometers an hour, my bad, as he's going to set a 26.9. That will be a nice tidy benchmark in the first sector. Bit of a lockup with you can see the smoke just popping off from those back tyres there as we're on board with him now fighting through this middle part of Sector 2. It's just a long straight with a nice slight curve. If you do remember last season, I ended up crashing there on my debut. It was not the prettiest of crashes, but a crash nonetheless. Ashton doesn't do a Golden Sniper and goes through that turn with precision and a lot of pace for this young man. He's coming across the middle part of Sector 2, off to Sector 3 now. He's around a minute 15, and he looks to push maybe towards the low 130s. He's going to fly around, actually, probably not even 130s, probably into the, we'll say around the 130s. I don't know what I'm on about anymore. He's coming across the final long winding left-hander, uses all the ERS he can, and a 130.2 is a brilliant mark to set off, and couple of drivers just flying through their outlaps now. We have the only McLaren on track, but there is two. Oscar Piastri is just chilling on his outlap, flying around. Fun days. Yellow flags around. It's just, the usual thing in qualifying. Everyone throws everything in the kitchen sink, and then the kitchen sink gets thrown as well. So, please ignore my waffling. I'm extremely hyper, as you saw last week in, I believe it was Reverse Austria. As we quickly look to the next driver across the line, it is Zilla with a 130.1 flat, and it's a brilliant time for the man in the Aston Martin. Next across the line is Ali, who's going to slap it with a 129.2. Good time for him. A couple other drivers are going to slap on some laps. Junkyard with a 30.0. Good time for the man in the Mercedes. As Apollo Pepsi gets a 29.3, almost, or I would say just over a tenth off, which is a good time for him. Broster with a 29.3 as well. There's a caution Sector 2 that is, I believe, Ashton may have a bit of a slip up. And this is only a cooldown lap, so it doesn't really matter yet. Ghost Rider in the Williams is a 130.0. Knights in the Red Bull 131.1. Needs to give me a tenth or two improvement to really crack into the 130s there. I do hope he does actually push that car to its absolute limits, and you don't know what is going to happen. Caution sector 2 yet again. As you can see, colours everywhere, rainbows. It's absolutely fucking crazy. My apologies for swearing. Oscar Piastri, not the real Oscar Piastri, so it looks like he's driving like him with a 29.3, a little bit off his teammate. Another caution in Sector 2. There's just letting cars everywhere, and it's just actual chaos. But you do get that here in IRL. Next to cross the line is Archie's going to start his flying lap, and behind him you do have Zilla, who's going to trundle into the pits and get off those soft tyres. A couple other drivers coming through the pits. One of them is Ali, who has a bit of a slip up there just before it, as we do see some people crossing the pits, people flying everywhere. Still gets a 137.1. He's definitely had a mistake or two, as you see him going wide off, I believe, turn 3. So Joshy with the fastest lap so far, the 28.7. Good time for the man in the Mercedes. There's a couple other drivers just flying around. Yet to set a time yet. You've got Saucy, Max, I'm not saying that word, haha, funny, as the Battle Cat sets with a 136.9. Definitely a mishap, English, or two from him. He can definitely improve on that. I know the man. You've got Zed, we're going to call him. I can't pronounce that name. And we've got Arch, all yet to set a time. Saucy is in the pits, so is Max in the Alpine, and Zed. Archie just flying around and just trying to find something to really build off here. You can see everyone just chilling in the pits. A bit of a lock up there from Ghost Rider as he comes around that corner, and let's just hope that doesn't cost him too much time. When it comes to the Alpine of Archie's just coming to the last couple of corners now. Lovely use of the brakes there. A 138.5. He may even validate his lap on the switch to an outlap. But that's definitely a room for improvement for him. Number 95 is always a great number to wear on a car. I do respect that. And there's a couple drivers still flying on the pits. You can see all the traffic starting to build in the top of Sector 1. Just everyone's coming around the pits. You can just quickly look on board with one of them. And you can see where the track number as well. It's just absolutely flying around cars of different colours, just spinning and everything. We're on board with a Battle Cat, who's an absolute flyer here. He's definitely going to be into the low 130s. Slaps it with 131.1. Good time for him. Yeah, definite massive improvement compared to his 136 from earlier as he comes around, just to let that McLaren by. Still, the time to beat is 128.7 from the Mercedes of Sir Joshy, as there is a caution in Sector 2. I don't really know what this sort of lockup from one of the other cars I was flicking through. I can't do my job. TV director, someone needs to help me. Anyway, we're on board with Arch now, who's coming around the last couple of corners here. And touches the curb a little bit too aggressively and almost nicks his car off to the side. Curbing again. Comes around the final corner. What a slap on the board. A 131.6 so far. The slowest time of everyone. Saucy's going to start his flying up. We're going to be on board with him the whole way through. You can see the Alpine just in front. Getting out of the way very timely there. Almost a little bit too late. But it is all good. You can see drivers still flying their outlaps, and Saucy is going to push his Red Bull like Max Verstappen all those years ago. Just we rate him. There's a Ferrari. God damn it! I was going to make a Carlos Sainz reference from a couple of years ago when he won Singapore, but I'm not going to say that anymore. I've just waffled my head too much. Saucy is flying around the middle part of Sector 2. Currently looking at a decent time for now as he comes around This really windy bit of the track. It's very hard to get it stuck in. This part's going to be extremely difficult. You have to brake really aggressively. It's almost like a bit of a surprise coming on the corner. You just have to brake so sudden, but he does it really well. Comes to the DRS zone. Can he take his part nicely? Yes, he can. No track limits for him, and he's going around the second DRS straight with absolute pace and inshallah. You can see the ERS being used a little bit on the low side as in terms of the deployment rate, but it seems all good for the rest of this lap. He comes around the front and whips his car like an absolute savage, slaps it with a 128.7. That is a great time from the man in the Red Bull, 300th of a second off as Sir Joshi is flying around on his LLab. Zed in the Williams with a 129.2. That is a good time for him. A couple other drivers setting their laps. Sil just moves up right now, I believe, unless I'm not looking properly. Yeah, just good times all around. Caution sector 3 here. That is the Ferrari of, I believe, Apollo, who moves up into P6 with a 29.326, exact same time as Oscar Piastri. There's a bit of pace everywhere as Oscar Piastri is going to come around to start his next flying lap. And then let's see if he can break at least something here and not have the same time as the Ferrari before him. Everyone has set a lap apart from Max in the other Alpine, as he's on an out lap just cruising around. There's a very a very odd name, but we absolutely move. Let's see who is next to cross the line. Saw that he hasn't validated his lap, but he is low on fuel, which is always a bit awkward to see, especially in qualifying. We're on board with Zoc, who I'm not sure if he is on a flying lap or a cooldown. We'll see. Just dives into the pit lane absolutely, just stops me from doing my job. So Joshi now coming around. Is he? No, he's not going to dive into the pits. He's going to keep it around. Can he beat his previous time of 28.7? Comes across the line at 27.7, a full second shaved off his previous time, and that man has some pace. I do tell you that. It's almost like Lewis Hamilton all those years ago when he used to dominate in the Mercedes W11. It's just absolute, just pure class from Sir Joshi there. Great time. Couple other drivers speeding into the pits. Couple other drivers slapping it absolutely everywhere. As Zilla moves up to a 28.9. Good time from him, and just all round Fernando Alonso-esque in 2022, 3, whatever it is. I can't name words. We're on board now with Knights in the Red Bull coming around the last couple corners. A little bit wide there. Definitely going to break himself coming out to that mini chicane as he's going to dive into the pits and abort that lap if he wasn't already penalised for it. He's just trundling around, trying not to speed into the pits, and just absolutely cruises in. 4 minutes left. Can anyone beat Sir Joshi's time of 1:27.7, a full second almost in front of Saucity's best time of the 28.75. A couple of drivers still flying around here. We're going to be on board with we're not going to be on board with Max. He's about his lap. Lovely days. There is a Mercedes, I believe, just coming into the pits. It is just so Joshi. I don't know what happened, but he's turning pits right now instead of before. Anyway, there's a lovely white dot on the screen. It is Battlecat on an outlap, just sending his car around for an absolute flyer. Beautiful soft tyres. A quick look at the tyres right now. Fresh, brand spanking new soft tyres for the man in the Haas there. Just, trundling around, just trying to get a feel for the car, feel for the track. And let's see what time can he put on the board here. Is he's coming around the middle and end bit of Sector 1 using that DRS zone to perfection with his ERS in tow as well. What can he put? It's a 3/10 improvement so far for Battlecats. That will slap him in around maybe P13, P12, if he can get a slight bit of a move on with the pace, he'll definitely have a better time than Knights, but will he be able to push even further in that Haas? Obviously, with the Ferrari power unit, anything is possible. One weekend, it's the greatest engine in the world. The other one, it's blowing up in your face, like Carlos Sainz. I believe in a couple of years ago, his engine completely just combusted and started rolling. His car started rolling backwards because he said, why the hell not? An almost 4/10 improvement up now, almost a 10th up on his Sector 1 time. Let's see if anything can happen in this last sector. DRS is in play. He's coming around this weird wonky chicane that we saw a driver or two before going completely wide. As he comes across the final corner, he's going to be able to hit into 130s. Yes, he can. A 130.5 is a decent time for Battle Cat. That puts him up into P13 as there is less than 2 minutes left to go. People are going to come out of the pits and just start setting absolute flyers everywhere as we're on board with Ghost Riders. He comes into the pits. I'm not sure he's going to have enough time to slap on another set of the soft compound tyres, so that would probably his qualifying done with a 129.7 is the best he can do, about 6,000 per second off this man. Still in the Racing Bulls, just trundling around nicely around the last parts of Sector 3 as we wait to see who is going to slap on a brand spanking pole. There's a caution in Sector 2. There's just carnage everywhere. There is I believe that's one of the Red Bulls letting broadside by just there. Brilliant use of sportsmanship. As we do see Silpil starting his flying lap, and I believe next cross line is one of the Williams. It is Zoc who's set to 28.8. That's a good time for the man in the Williams. P4 for now. Next across the line, the Haas approach getting very still and decides to dive into the bits very late there as Ali's going to start his flying lap, and behind him you did have, I believe, one of the Mercedes, if I'm not completely drunk with how I use this camera stuff. Oh boy. So far, it doesn't seem like too many improvements from people, as you do see Battlecat coming across the start. His final flying lap. Cars are coming around. There's around 10 seconds left to go, so people are... two people have pitted. It is Ghost Rider and Brosa, so their qualifiers are done. Oscar comes around with 2 seconds remaining to start his flying lap, and that is very close, and Knights will retire on the session. We quickly just look at his teammate Saucy, who cuts it very wide, and you can just see Knights retiring on track, trundling around there, and that's his qualification done. Saucy will he's invalidated his lap, so he's done as well. P2 provisional for him. We're coming across now across the line. Junkyard will slap it. No improvement for him. He will stay in his current position. Silpil slaps into P9 with a 29.4. A good time for him. Next to cross the line, if I can keep flicking through everything, Zoc is going slow on his outlap. He's low on fuel, comes across the line. He will be a provisional P5 for now. We're on board now with Ali. He's actually spun, touched the curb and spun around. That is not how he wanted his final flying lap to go. That's very unfortunate for the McLaren. As you did see, Ashton put in a 129.6 and a couple other cars. You see Max actually pushing up to a 28.5, not even setting a time till the final lap itself. Joshy is in the pits, and it looks like for now he will have pole, unless this thing's doing it. Oscar Piastri around the final corners. Can he beat Sir Joshy's time? A 28.1 is a good time, but not enough to beat the man in the Mercedes. As you look at Apollo come across the line now, he's finishing his lap. Arch is coming also into the pits with a 131.6. It's his best time. Arch will actually get a 3 or 5 place grid penalty for collision with the Ferrari of Apollo as they both come into the pits. But what a great qualifying session it was. Joshy is in pole with Saucy right alongside him in the front row. Then Oscar Piastri rounding out the top 3. Max in P4 and Apollo Pepsi finishing it off in P5. You've got to love IRL preseason stuff. And there are your qualifying positions sorted at the top 5. Already spoken to how was a great laps. Just behind Apollo, you've got Zed in the Williams P6, Zilla P7, Ali in P8 had a small slip up at the end. He would have definitely improved on his time on the 29.2. Broster, Silpill rounding out the top 10. You got Ashton Junkyard, Ghost Rider, Battlecats, Knights, and Arch starting from the back of the grid. You wonder how is this race going to go? Obviously, a very tight track. Anything can happen here. Not really known for too many overtakes. But you do wonder, are these drivers going to put foot to the floor or play it safe? They're going for audacious overtakes into a couple of corners, into DRS zones, or they're going to play it safe, handle it back, and wait for a mistake. You do wonder who is going to come out on top. Will it be the pole sitter of it? So Joshua, maybe someone like Apollo springing a surprise, getting on the podium. You really have to wonder all these sorts of questions flying around in and around absolutely everything as we wait for these drivers to get their setups ready. It's a lovely night race here in Singapore. I can feel the heat radiating off the lights and everything. It's almost got me face completely red. But that is just the Aussie weather heating up absolutely everything, even though it's damn winter. Gotta love it. Gotta love Aussie weather. As the 5 red lights are out, we are ready for pre-season here in Singapore. It's lights out, and away we go. Great start there from the pole sitter, Joshi. Apollo is stuck in the back of the grid. He's dropped all the way down to the back. He's had a really bad start there, unless more of a visual glitch may have happened with the Ferrari. We do understand that there are some lights glitches on this game. You do wonder, is there going to be something happening as Ashton will move up into P9 with a good move on Clip there. Or Silpill, I don't know what to say with that man's name. Anyway, Joshy leads the way around Singapore. Saucity and Oscar Piastri behind him actually moved up a place there. As Battlecat and Ashton is actually going to be at the back of the grid. A little bit of contact with another driver, Zilla, as well as spun round. This is a very chaotic start here in Singapore. Carnage, absolutely everywhere. We can see a massive battle here in the midfield. We're on board with Knights in the Red Bull as all these cars just bunched up together from a junkyard all the way down to Ashton. They're all in this mini train of cars just trying to find traction, trying to find grip, and just to get an advantage on the cars in front. It just does seem like one of those races, anything is going to spring up, maybe a safety car or two coming around. You do wonder how many incidents are going to happen. You see lockups absolutely everywhere. Tyre smoke is going to be a major factor with especially Vision. Joshi starts it off with a 33.9 on the medium compound as we quickly look at the tyres, the tyre strategy here. You've got the top 3 all on mediums with Oscar Piastri leading the way on the hard compound. You got Zoc all the way down to Apollo on the mediums. You got Arch starting on the softs. Ghost Rider, Ashton, Zilla, and Broadster starting on the mediums. Then you got Knight and Battlecat on the hard compound. Speaking of hard compound, Battlecat is actually going to pit off those hard compound tyres. Broadster is actually going to come through with the hard compound tyres. So, Orion really early pit stop and a definite damage for both the bottom 2 right now. as we're going to come back up to this front of the pack battle. We're on board with the Red Bull of Saucity. DRS is in play here. Can he spring a surprise on the Mercedes in front? He almost reminds you of Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton in 2021. These two were just really close neck and neck the entire season. You can see the DRS in tow for Saucity. His DRS was open there, but nothing as of yet. They're coming across this longer, larger sector. DRS yet again going to be in the favour of the Red Bull. He's catching up very slow. There's a caution yet again. Sector 2 seems to be a massive amount of carnage up from behind. It is Arch in the Alpine, who's had a bit of a moment here. The tyres absolutely screeching as he loses so many positions as the virtual safety car is out due to a bit of mix up there from the Alpine. Everyone's going to slow down. You see the wing is completely off there. He will have to come into the pits off those soft compound tyres as a Ghost Rider comes into the pits as well to get off the medium compound. I was saying a safety car would spring about. I didn't mean a virtual safety car, but it all counts towards something as you do watch Arch fly into the pits to fix his front wing. We're going to fly on board with Max in the other Alpine, currently P3, around 5 tenths or so. As I say, that's just the numbers are fluctuating, but he's there. He's there with the top two. As you do see, Arch and Brodus are coming out of the pits. There's a drive-through penalty for Ghost Rider, who's speeding under VSC. That is very odd, considering he just came out of the pits. That's that's a thing in the game. Anyway, we quickly look at the time penalties here. Drive-through for both Junkyard and Ghost Rider. I'm assuming for speeding under VSC as you quickly scroll down. 2 drive-throughs for speeding under VSC for the Mercedes and the Williams. Not how they wanted their races are. As the virtual safety car is gone, green flags are out, and we're going racing yet again. We're on board with the Alpine of Max, who's going to fly around this last part of the circuit, and he's going to flip his car to absolute smithereens. We're trying to catch Saucity and so Joshy, who are going to definitely be battling for this race win. It's only pre-season, but it will give him a lot more confidence, and will definitely make a couple teams turning heads. As you look into the actual midfield battle, we've got Apollo, who comes into the pits. Junkyard will come into the pits to serve his drive-through penalty. And there will be a couple positions gained for Knights, Zella, and I believe Ashton, who is currently riding in P8. He's got the Red Bull of Knights behind him with Zella for company. We're on board with the Aston Martin. Now, can anything be done here? They're into the middle part of Sector 1. DRS in tow. It looks like Zella's going to have an audacious move. The Red Bull just seemingly a sitting duck there. A great move done from the Aston for P9. As he flies around this middle part of Sector 2, he sees the Sauber of Ashton in front of him, and he knows what he wants. He's got his target locked and loaded like a ballistic missile, and it's probably going to be a nice buzz in these two. You see a bit of smoke there from the Sauber as he almost locks up, but there is around a 1.5, 1.6 second gap between P8 and P9. As we quickly go up, we're going to watch Oscar Piastri, who's battling with Zoc, who's a very new person I haven't really seen around here in Inters. Definitely has a long pace. Max will slap in the fastest lap. I'm not saying his full name because I'm going to get banned. Max, anyway. Oscar Piastri's catching up really quickly, though. You do want pace. You want this man on your team. 147%. You see just a bit of a spin from the Williams in front, and that's going to put even bigger advantage to the Aussie Maestro as he comes through on the outside line and just takes P4 away from the Williams. A bit more smoke from the Williams for a good measure, around 4 seconds between Oscar Piastri and the car in front. There's a caution in Sector 2. It is Zoc who smashed it into the almost like a castle section in Baku. He's centered, trying to catch back up to Oscar Piastri. And that Williams is definitely a Colapinto-esque crash there. Who's DNF'd from the race, the first DNF, and a virtual safety car coming out. It's very unfortunate. He was going so well off the rip, and just an unfortunate way for your Grand Prix to end as Saucity, as Josh has for some reason scuffed it into the pit box, and that's gonna make a massive gap now. Saucity hasn't pit, Oscar Piastri hasn't pit, Max Verstappen has come into the pits and come out in front of the Mercedes, who was in a great position, but for some reason it was stuck coming into the pits on the wall. That is very odd from the man who started on pole. Drive-through penalty for Ali, speeding under VSC. Oi. Broke the 3 seconds time plate for track limits there. What the hell is going on? Already 3 Zoc has left the session, unfortunate for him with the DNF rather early. There's a caution in Sector 3, I believe. That is Apollo Pepsi, who's spun on the line as he comes across for his next lap. Is there going to be any damage on his car, though? Doesn't really seem like there's too much damage, just maybe a loss of a rear grip as he's come around that bit, maybe touching the curb, unsettled his car, and he's dropped right back off as we're back onto racing yet again. Ali has that drive-through to come to serve in the next 2 to 3 laps. Already 3 drive-throughs in 6 laps, 2 VSCs. It's just absolute carnage here as Saucity leads the way on the medium compound with it's lap 7 now, and you do wonder, is this man going to pull off a lovely victory with Josh having a little bit slip up in the pits? So we're in lap 8 now. I apologise for leaving so sudden. But we're back. Broadster, as I just saw as I came back, did get past Junkyard for P10, but Junkyard is still there, just saying, hey, I'm not out of this fight yet. It's going to be a great battle between these two come the middle part of this Grand Prix. Let's see if he's got anything to say for here down the middle part of Sector 2. A little bit of an early braking, touching of the curve for both the cars here, as this winding bit is really going to catch someone out. There's a caution in Sector 2 from behind. That is Arch yet again having another moment as we cut away from that lovely battle. Arch not having the best of Grand Prix so far. We're back on board with the Mercedes as Max does get past Ali, who is serving his drive-through penalties. He's dropped down to P4 as Ali's dropped all the way down actually to P7 as he's trundling out of the pits, maybe even getting overtaken by these two on screen as he gets passed by Silpill and Knight coming around now will pass him as well. Ali coming out of the pits just about now, coming through, and he will keep P9 as we're on board still with this battle here between Broster and Junkyard, fighting for only P10, but Broster does have that 3-second time penalty. You can see Josh and Zilla fighting each other, almost scraping against the wall there. Is it going to be contact? No. Very, very close there between these two in front. That's a good move from the Mercedes of Josh as he gets past Zilla for P4. Great little battle there between these two drivers. And it's just goes to show you how critical you need to be with turns, or you could end up scraping into one, maybe getting yourself a bit of a puncture. As Apollo does get past Battle Cats down the way for P13 down the DRS zone, and that's to be a lovely move for the Ferrari. Battle Cats is still there, smoke puffing up from the back of that Ferrari. Let's see if Battle Cats can get past him. Still around a second between them. We are on board still with Junkyard, who's slowly losing time to Broadster. He still needs to stay within that 3-second range, so he's gain a position. For now, it is all good for him. We're on board with Zilla, who is one of the closer drivers on track, as he's got DRS down the main straight, and it has nothing to do for it. We're going to go on board with Ghost Rider, who's up the rear of Arch, as Broadster gets a 3-second time penalty yet again for track limits. And he's not going to put him in the best of places, as Junkyard is still trying to get past him for P10. Arch moving to that really sharp inside line. A little bit of contact between Ghost Rider and Arch there. Arch is moving a little bit too wide for the Williams' liking, and the Williams and Ghost Rider will get past Arch in the Alpine. Not been the best of races for one Alpine, but for the other, he's up into P3, 10 seconds behind the car in front of Oscar Piastri. You can really tell the pace difference there on Saucity and Oscar are definitely tier 1 material, as a couple other drivers fighting in the midfield. Very big array of pace difference. Massive array of pace difference up and down the track. You're on board with Knights, is 9 seconds behind. Broadster's had a slip up coming out of this corner, I believe, if my numbers are correct and my brain can actually brain. Turn 10, turn 11 of Singapore. I had to calculate everything in my head real quick as Oscar Piastri gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits there. So he will still keep his P2 if the timings do stay the same. There's around 20 laps to go, and it's a new low for how many times I've sworn during a Grand Prix. I don't know how many times it is. Please someone check the betting lines. I'm not betting on my own thing, I swear. Anyway, we're on board with Broster. 6 seconds of time penalties. Apollo is just in that 6-second range. You can see Broster coming over the pit line, the curbing to show the pits, and it's definitely a move done for Silpill as Broster is retiring in the pits. That's not the way he wanted his Grand Prix to go. He's going to retire. That's the second retiree after Zoc crashed in the middle part of Sector 2, I believe. and that will push Junkyard all the way to the bottom, but he is, I believe, just pitted. If we quick look at the stops, everyone has pitted at least once, apart from Ashton, Knights, Ali, Zilla, Oscar Piastri, and Sorcery. If you watch, on board with Ashton, Ghost Rider does get past Battle Cats for P11, points go all the way down to P15 here in Inter's Racing League. Bit more competitive with all the points, showing that you may be on the back markers, but you can still fight for points up and down this grid. So far, if everyone does keep their position, they will be gaining points if this was a real race. As we're on board still with the Sauber, just really throwing his car around, trying to get at least a little bit of grip on the rear. You heard the tyres screechingly coming out the last corner or two, as he looks to battle on with Silpil. As you see the V-Carb on in a hot pursuit of the Aston Martin of Zilla, who's had a very quiet race, some would say, but definitely one of the better ones he's definitely had. I don't know how many races this man has done, but a P5 for now is great for him, as Ghost Rider gets a 3-second time play for track limits, and Ali will come into the pit. As we're still on board with the Aston Martin, you've got the V car behind him. As we take a lovely camera shot of the rear wing, let's see if Silpil can do something here. DRS is in tow as they go side by side here. Is there going to be contact? No, but Silpil gets the move done and forces the Aston to go a little bit wide. They're side by side here, and there's just a lot better traction from the V-Car, who moves himself up in to P5. Max moves up into P2 as Sorcery comes out of the pit lane, and he will drop down to P4 as we're on lap 13 now. Oscar Piastri leads the way here. He is just seemingly cruising his way to a lovely finish, even though it's only just halfway through the Grand Prix. As we're on board now with a Junkyard, who's just gotten past Arch, who's this small little train here between Battlecat, Junkyard and Arch, fighting for P11 on the grid. And we're still on board with the Alpine, who's going to try and do something here on Battlecat, who's still trying to gain to Junkyard. You can see the pace difference, though, between the two cars on screen. It just seems Battlecat's a lot more pace, as Ali will retire in the pit lane. That's the third retiree from this session, and the second to retire in the pits. Arch does get that 3-second time play for track limits, so that's not going to help him in his pursuit of a higher position. No, but for now, he does remain P13. We're going to stay on board with Arch, who's still gaining on the Haas in front. He is the closest car as he whacks the wall a little bit. That outside wall is not doing him too many favours here, as he does seem to maybe have a little bit of knock with that front right. No damage for him, which is good. Diving around, Ashton does come into the pits. Battlecat has had a massive moment. He's gone completely wide, had to slow so far down to stop himself whacking into the wall. And that means Arch, who locks up himself, will get the overtake done as he gets DRS in tow and sends it away from the Haas of Battlecat. I'm going to keep watching this battle for now, as Apollo does get past Ashton. Ashton in the pits, coming out just behind the Ferrari, as it was still on board with the Haas of Battlecat. Can he do anything in front? This battle is seemingly closer than anyone else on track. There's around 5 to 6 second gaps. Silpil gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. It's a very tight track but also very hard on the tyres. You have to navigate your way through so not go too far wide here in Singapore. But we're still on board with Battlecat, who's got a lot of traction and a lot of straight line speed. Arch just shuts the door at the last second there, moving alongside. Maybe a bit of moving under braking from the Alpine as Silpil gets a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. Maybe cutting that entire chicane too aggressively, not a big fan of Stewart's, and gets another one for speeding in the pit lane and retires from the session. The fourth retiree in only 15 laps. Silpil is the fourth man to get out and go have an early shower. We're going to be flying now to Junkyard, who's on the back of a Ghost Rider 1 or 2. The closest battles as Knights, who's on the P6 due to Silpil's retirement. Him and Zilla are surely going to be fighting for something. Zilla is pitting, and Zilla will come ahead of Apollo and Ashton. We're still on board with the Mercedes at Junkyard, who's got a lot of speed thanks to the DRS and gets past Ghost Rider for P9. A lovely move there for the Mercedes. You do have to wonder though, as we look towards the front of the grid, is that 3-second time penalty for Oscar Piastri going to be the end, the make it or break it for him in this race as we're halfway through the Grand Prix, lap 16? Is there going to be a nice Springer surprise come the end of it? We're now on board with the kick sour of Ashton, who gets a lot better straight line speed thanks to DRS and gets that move done on Apollo Pepsi as a Junkyard has left the session. Unfortunate possible disconnect for the man in the Mercedes who was going so well to fight through the back of the pack, as going to be on board with the Ferrari of Apollo, who's going to try and catch up to Ashton in the Sauber. Can anything be done as they're flying around the back straight here? Nothing to no cigar for the Ferrari in his pursuit of the Aston there. There's a caution in Sector 2 of the back. Junkyard is back in the session. There is a Mercedes, though, of Joshi, who's had a massive moment in the middle part of Sector 2, where you did see Zoc have that moment that forced him to retire, as he did whack into Law rather heavily. The lockup is crazy, though, from Sir Joshi, as that's not how he wants it. He slaps his rear wing into the wall, and that's a lot of damage on that Mercedes. There's front wing damage and possible rear wing damage, loss of rear downforce now. As the lockups continue, he whacks into the back, into the escape road, and retires on track. Retires his front suspension absolutely gone. Caution, Sector 3. Will there be a safety car out? No, it was in a safe spot. Safe enough that the marshals and stewards didn't really need to do anything else there. The fifth retiree in this pre-season race in Singapore, as it's very chaotic, as there's only 11 cars left in the session. Will we get down possibly to maybe a lap 10 or so cars? As you quickly look at the position changes here, oh god, I can't speak English. The biggest gainers are Ashton, Ghost Rider, and Knights and Arch, all gaining 6 positions. With you've got Zilla gaining 3, Battlecat's about to gain 3 as he passes where Sir Joshi DNF'd, and they've got Oscar Piastri and Max gaining 2. Saucity and Apollo the only ones who've actually dropped down a position from where they qualified. You've then got Sir Josh going down 11 positions from his DNF, from starting from pole. We're going to be looking to the other pit stops now. Two drivers have done a two-stop at Battle Cats and Arch, who had a damage early on in the race. Oscar Piastri is still not pitted off his hard compound tyres. Maybe looking for a hard to soft come the end of the race here, but that's not going to do any favours on the current soft tyres that he's currently on. Will he pit this lap, or will he absolutely throw it around for another lap? Yes, we're now still on board with our race leader coming through the middle DRS straight of Sector 3 here. He's got Max just behind him, slowly gaining time on the McLaren. As you can just see, Oscar with a little bit of a lock up there. The tyre smoke is crazy. Maybe just a visual glitch on the game's part, as Oscar is going to come into the pits off the hard compound, meaning Max will move up into provisional P1 there. As let's see, Oscar's going to slap on the set of mediums and throw his car out of the pits. Around a 5-second gap now between Max and Saucity, who is on the harder compound of tyres. No one really in DRS range of each other apart from Ghost Rider and Junkyard to be on board with him right now. Let's see if the Williams can spring a surprise here as Oscar Piastri comes out of the pits in P3. Around 50 or so seconds to Zilla. That is, wow. You just imagine the gap. As I say that, the time is slowly fixing itself. Let's just see where it stops at that, as we're still on board with a Ghost Rider who's trying to desperately catch up. There's a lot of DNS because one driver, Zoc, ended up smashing into the wall, and all the rest of the four, Broadstar, Ali, and Silpil all retired in the pits. Joshy just sent it down one of the escape roads and broke his front left wheel. It's carnage up and down, mate. Carnage up and down. We're only on lap 19. Still 11 laps to go as Max will cross it to start lap 20. He got 2 seconds of an advantage to Saucity, who's still gaining on him, but very, very slowly, I must say. As you're still on board with Ghost Rider, he's losing a lot of time to Junkyard, who's just seemingly cruising for a P7 finish right now. We're going to come back to Saucity. Haven't really seen him too much. Of course, I haven't covered him that much because I can't really learn camera work. Anyway, you've got Max in front on, I believe, 14 lap old medium tyres. Those are probably screaming, I should say, instead of slowly dying. They're screaming out to just at least get a breather. He's been on them since lap 6. As you see the pace difference now, Saucity is right behind him. You can see the biggest speed, the greatest speed, I should say, from the Red Bull coming into the second DRS zone. Can he finally stick something on the Alpine? Try to force him a little bit wider, but Saucity will get past it. It'll be a audacious move maybe from the Alpine. A little bit of contact forces the Alpine to cut the sector, to cut the corner, and keep his P1. Contact yet again, forcing Saucity wide. Max will definitely have to give that position back, and that's yeah, that is not how it wants to be. He's just slowing down, moving to the side there, and giving the position back. Saucity now leading the Grand Prix. Oscar Piastri getting the fastest lap with a 31.3 on the medium compound as he is running P3 Battle Cat 3-second time penalty for track limits. There's contact yet again. Max Verstappen, a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting as he decides to throw his car aggressively, one would say, onto Saucity's Red Bull, and one must wonder what on earth is he doing? What did he try to accomplish there? Cutting a long part of the track just to get by the Red Bull, only for him to give it back. Surely you'd stay behind him, wait for a mistake, and then pounce, not just throw your car where a car should not be thrown, as he's lost so much time now. Even with the penalty, he's to slow down to a P3, as Oscar Piastri just needs a 7-second gap to Max, as you can say that. Oscar Piastri is gaining around 5 tenths, 6 tenths now on the Alpine already. He's slowly gaining a lot of time. Those mediums are slowly graining even further. As we're on to lap 22 now, no one really close enough for a move. Speaking of moves, Ghost Rider's at a slip up, and that means Battle Cat will move up into P9. We're on board with the Williams. I've said that one too many times, as he's on the cusp of getting Battle Cat, who is I believe that is Max, who's just lapped him now, and he's just suddenly ghosted because it is blue flag conditions, and yeah. You can actually see him unlapping himself there. Very audacious move from the Haas to get him unlapped. You can see Max is slowing down a little bit longer. In the background, you've got Ghost Rider whacking into the wall. Very unfortunate for him. And Arch is going to be alongside him all the way, weaving maybe a little bit, coming into the chicane. He has to take it wide and lose the position that he gained. Max is going to come around. He's finally get overtaken. He's going to trundle into the pits with that 10-second penalty. I don't think he'll be able to serve it. He's coming through now. I don't think a corner gun, but he's able to be served. No, okay, it is. So he's to serve his 10-second penalty and come back out. P3 maybe, unless this man on screen definitely has something to say about it coming into the final couple of corners of Sector 3 here. Zilla, he could be on for a surprise podium as he's coming to the back straight now. You've got Max just trundling out of the pit. You can see the Aston gain the position back and gets himself into P3. What a move, as he's going to cut down to Arch, who's got Ghost Rider in front of him, losing even more time now, as Ghost Rider's going to have another look down to the inside of Battle Cat in that Haas. A little bit of a smoke there from the Haas. Ghost Rider having to yield a tiny bit longer. DRS now in play. Ghost Rider is going to try a move maybe down here, down the inside line. Goes a little bit wide, but gets a move done. Swooping around the Haas. Good move for him. We're on board now with Max, who is on the tail of Zilla. Arch will also get past Battle Cat. Not been the race for the Haas team, as Max is going to fight for final podium position here. Had a bit of a rookie error with Saucer Saucity not too long ago. Apollo does get past Knights on the straight here on the DRS. Max has too much straight line speed and cruises for P3. Zilla now, he's going to have a lot more to gain as Max opens a second burst of DRS and boosts himself so much further away. As we're going to cut now, Battlecat is still in this back of the pack battle. He's just slowly trying to edge some time out of the Alpine. Can he get anything done here? DRS is going to be open fairly soon as they're coming across the middle part of Sector 2. It's going to be a wild show for the bottom three for now. As we're on board with the Haas, who's got DRS. Arch, I believe, doesn't have DRS. So that's an advantage to Battlecat. He sees the Alpine in front having a little bit of a slip up as a DRS is not going to be implemented for Arch as he whacks into the wall there. Unfortunately for him, lockups galore for Arch. As Battlecat's going to be in prime position now as we're on lap 25. Arch goes around. Max has retired from the session. It's a safety car now out on track. You want Carnage? I'll give you Carnage. Swooping around just here, you can just almost see for the splitters of seconds Max crashing maybe on the inside wall or locking up and going straight on. Safety car has been deployed. Max will not get his coveted podium. Zilla will stay for P3. That means Ashton, the man hosting the lobby, will be in P4. As a safety car is going to come into play, people surely will pit on the medium compound as the Sox are absolutely hogwashing this game. Let's see what these drivers throw themselves out on as people gain even more positions. I did say there might have been 10 people left. Zilla comes out on the medium compound. Good tyre strategy from the Aston Martin team. As Ashton will also come into the pits. What tyre will he put on? It looks to be a set of mediums. So again, the better compound of tyre there. As no one else really seems to be pitting at all so far. It's just Ashton coming out of the pits as the drivers come around and wait for the safety car. Knights will come into the pits now. Let's see what tyre he's going to come on. He's going to come off his mediums and slap on another set of the mediums to finish this race. Next, Junkyard is actually going to throw another lap on. He is on fresher hard, so they may they're definitely going to be a lot warmer and more used to the more grip than the fresher mediums. It does take a lap or two for them to heat up as the safety car is waiting for Saucity to come around, as him and Oscar Piastri are going to be pitting for Saucity to be pitting on the mediums and Oscar Piastri on the hard compound. A very different tyre strategy, both having 3-second time penalties, the top two. So that's going to put the advantage onto Zilla, who's got the medium compound, the faster compound, but less wear, less tyre life than Oscar Piastri's hards. You have Arch on the mediums. Apollo is staying out on his 4-lap old mediums. Battlecat possibly staying on his 11-lap old hards. And Ghost Rider on 4-lap old mediums as well, as we await the safety car to start its process. It absolutely bloody has. You can see Saucy just trundling very slowly, waiting for the pack to bunch up yet again. You do wonder how many more laps is safety car gonna be in play. Oscar Piastri coming into the pits, losing a bit of his wing due to contact with a Saw City there, if you just saw it on screen. External help was it needed because my eyes are not the best to look at, as he's going to serve a nice penalty there, Oscar Piastri, and he's going to pit his wing, slap on the set of soft tyres. Battle Cab will also set up on the soft compound tyres, and with 4 laps to go, the safety car is going to trundle around here. Zella moves up into P2, but there's definitely going to be a lot of cars being compacted together. Saucy's going to be in a world of worry, I should say, as Apollo does come into the pits off the medium compound to slap on the set of softs, as you do wonder. I was going to say, how many laps are going to go? Probably around another lap or two of the safety car to bunch everyone up, and then, well, it's going to be a drag race to the end for all of these drivers. As you wait for the safety car to happen to come into the pits yet again, I want to quickly look at the position changes. Ashton moves up 8 positions, Knights moves up 9, Arch, Battlecat and Ghost Rider moving up 5, Junkyard moving up 7, Saucy moving up 1. He started P2 and is possibly on for a win here, but the safety car's going to bunch everyone else up, and that 3-second time post is going to come back to bite him where the sun don't shine. As for the players people have lost the most positions, Apollo's lost 2 positions, and Oscar Piastri losing out on 1. As you look at the time penalties, 3 seconds all around for Saucy, Oscar, Ghost Rider, Battlecat, and Arch, who all 3 of them are definitely going to finish at the bottom of the finishing drivers, as we're going to start now on lap 28. In front, you've got the soon-to-be lapped cars, Arch and Battlecat, I believe. And we're just waiting to see when this safety car is going to pick up speed yet again. You can see it actually slowing down a little bit on lap 28. Here's still 4 laps to go, including this one. And the tyres have to be just that little bit colder every single lap. It's going to be even more painful on the medium runners now, who just want this race to get a move on, so they can get enough traction, enough temperature into those tyres to maybe fend off the soft compound runners, as I absolutely screw up the UI there. We're going to quickly look on the tyres yet again. Oscar Piastri is on the soft compound, the fastest compound of all 3 tyres, yet the less wears. You do wonder, when will those tyres kick in, and when's going to be the crossover period between the softs and the mediums? As you do see the safety car flying around, the safety car is going to come in this lap. Arch is not going to have enough time to unlap himself. As you do see Saucy just giving everyone a nice little toe. Ashton's going to retire from the session. Up the back, he smashed it into the wall under the safety car. Ashton losing out on P3. Oscar Piastri moves back up into P2. The safety car is going to go around, I believe, yet again, unless it's coming into the pits. We're going to look back on Saucy. The safety car is just slowly trundling into the pits. Will there be green flag conditions? It doesn't seem like it. The safety car, it still says, I'm on board. The drivers are racing, it's into the pit lane. Junkyard gets a 3-second time out of track limits. Just seems like a visual glitch. Everyone is in 10-second penalties for ignoring yellow flags off the restart. That is one of the weird things you've definitely seen, and that means Apollo Pepsi could spring a surprise come the end of this session. Maybe Knights as well. 13-second penalties all around for Zilla, Oscar, and Junkyard for those yellow flags on the back straight. We're on board still with Saucity, who's going to have a lot of... he's definitely now in prime position to win the race. Arch, he's still lapped. He's just been passed by Knights, who's lapped him as well. And you do wonder... It's not really been his day as in terms of pace, but in terms of points, 9th is a good position for him come the end of this race, as we're on board now with Junkyard, who has 13 seconds worth of penalties behind him. You can just see the Ferrari of Apollo coming around that last corner. It has been a chaotic race here in Singapore, and I'm not too sure if there's going to be anything else left. The tank is pretty much empty on the chaos meter. It's flinging around everywhere with all these safety cars, time penalties, yellow flag infringements. It just sees one man stood up top for now, unless he maybe has a slip up. Saucity 3 seconds in front of Oscar Piastri. Maybe someone like a maybe Battle Cat. No, he wouldn't gain any positions too far away from Knights there. Plus he does have a 3-second time penalty to boot as well, the man in the Haas. We're on board now with Apollo Pepsi, who on the soft compound tyres in front of him. Junkyard on the worn hard compound, flying around this middle part of sector 2. The time penalty is doing crazy. 4 seconds to 4th. DRS now in tow for the Ferrari. Has to brake that little bit earlier to not crack into the back of Junkyard, as he wants to just keep behind him and jump up into P2. As you quickly look at the leader gap, you've got Apollo 7.5 seconds behind the leader of Saucity. And he won't be gaining any time on him, but he will still get a spot on the podium. DRS in tow yet again for the man in the Ferrari, as they're on the penultimate lap here in Singapore. Saucity is leading the way in a beautiful drive for Red Bull, but it's still all eyes on this man, Apollo. He may not even need the 13 seconds of time penalties for Oscar and Junkyard to gain into the podium positions as he's coming around now. He's only fighting for P4, but it's gonna be enough. He comes around the outside, a little bit of contact as well as Junkyard's gonna force him wide off track there. Coming around now, a little bit of a lock-up from the Ferrari. Contact yet again made between both him and the Mercedes. He's going to dive down the inside rather aggressively, get his nose stuck in, but Apollo, with that better traction, sticks his nose in even further and says, thank you very much, I'll take that position. Sector 1, that is Arch in the background, as that is Junkyard spinning around in the sort of castle section in Singapore. He's lost so much time after a nice little battle with Apollo. He's going to lose even more time now as Knights is behind him. And it's just not been Junkyard's day, despite on track a possible P5. It's not going to be enough. Coming across the line now to win the race. Saucity in the Red Bull wins the Singapore GP. And coming across the line, Oscar Piastri, who's going to get third on track. Apollo will move up into P2. And that means Knights comes across, steals P3 as Zilla, Oscar Piastri and Junkyard all had time penalties. Zilla finishes in P4, Oscar Piastri P5, Junkyard P6. Coming across the line now, you've got Arch trundling onto the line, a lap down It's just not been his race today, unfortunately, as Battlecat spins across the line and says sayonara to his front wing as he's just slowly parking it up. As they're coming across the line, there's the Williams of Ghost Rider who slams into the Haas for P8. What an ending to this Grand Prix. And it's been an absolute pleasure to call it from start to finish there. You can see the Red Bull up on top with a little bit of an impromptu dance there. It's been a lovely win for Red Bull today, as that man Saucy celebrates his win. You just see your race winner and a collector of many other awards, Saucy just chilling out with the fastest lap to boot. Knight getting driver of the day and cleanest driver. Zilla with the most overtakes, as there are your race results. Absolute carnage up and down the track, but it's Saucy who takes home the win. And I've been your commentator, Golden Sniper. I thank you for watching. And there's going to be even more pre-season come next week with a slightly better commentator. So I bid you all farewell. Have a great rest of your weekend. And I'll see you all next week.